Okay, so this is probably going to be probably one of the longest podcasts. There's a lot I need to touch on before I get into it. We obviously have the recaps. I want to also do. I used to do this. I feel like a few years ago, but feel like it's even more important now with the Fab budget. So the first segment is going to be a recap of week number one. Second segment, guys that kind of came out of nowhere or things that happen week one. We know week one is either do you buy it or is it just an overreaction? So it's going to be my buy sell kind of segment. But I'm going to give to guys that I'm buying, and I'm not going to get into anybody that I'm going to sell on just yet. I feel like I need week two or week three to kind of decide that. Guys I'm on the fence with, that's where I would kind of say, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen to these guys. That's going to be the third segment. And that's not necessarily a bad thing either. It could be a good thing. I'm not confident enough in one game sample size to kind of make my what's the word I'm looking for? My confidence level isn't there yet with one game. Bottom line is what I was trying to say. And then we have a recap of our first ever Fab budget bids, which is going to be freaking interesting because I've got a lot to talk about that. Wow. There's a lot to talk about that, and myself included. I'm in that category as well, so I'm not by any means free from this. And then the last segment after, as you're going to see on the YouTube timesheet, is going to be what everybody looks forward to, and that is the matchups. Without further ado, let's get into the matchups. This can be titled as 3 words: good, bad, and the ugly. All right. Bottom line, I'll start with the ugly. The matchup between me and Andre every freaking year, it's really pissing me off at this point, dude, because it's literally like always comes down to Monday night, and I can't tell you, there's been at least 5 matchups, I think, between me and this kid where it's either been tied or within like 2 points. Yet again, happens again. This is now 2 Monday nights in a row, but it was like the worst matchup of all time. I don't know what that is. Both teams failed to break 100 points. Not how you want to start the season. Hopefully this is just rust for both of these teams because this does not. This matchup puts you to sleep. This matchup really puts you to sleep. I think with the exception of Kyler Murray and maybe Julio Jones, you were not entertained. Bottom line on that one. Possibly the upset of the week. A rookie taking on the champ, and he dethrones the champ for now, and that's B Magic winning 130 to 113. Nicely done on this one. Takeaways really quickly. Congratulations. B Magic got a lot of explosive games from guys that he did need to kind of step up from the piece of you know what and Le'Veon Bell with Adam Gase, and he got those guys to step up for him. As far as the Johnny side, man, it just wasn't his week. I think we'll move on. This one, I know this was probably the most entertaining matchup because we do have one trash talker in the league, that is Alan Williams, who I feel like every time he opens his mouth, it gets worse and worse for him, but he survived against Alex, 135 to 133. Let me just say right off the bat, this was probably one of the most impressive victories over week one. I gotta give respect to where it's due. I know I did predict him to win in this one. I did predict him to win, but it came down a lot closer than and a lot more high scoring than I thought it was going to be. He has already struck. You could say he struck gold with the running backs already, which is really cool. But 135 to 133 was a fun, entertaining matchup. This next matchup I'm going to touch down was very interesting because there was a touchdown getting called back that I don't know if it would have affected the outcome. But the Patrick versus David after Thursday night, I was sure David would put up close to 150, and it only went up to 127. And Patrick's team at times looked like he was going to come back in this one, but it was just not close enough. This was a close matchup. David remains victorious. This was the matchup I had on as the matchup of the week. It did not live up to expectations, and that's due to a lot of injuries on one side of the football team. Rob Coffey and the Harsh rivalry. Apparently, this is now a new rivalry. Harsh does take down Rob Coffey. Biggest takeaway from this one is the starting running backs are already dinged up. That is not something that you like to see on the Rob Coffey side of the ball. Mr. Vintage One himself edges out Mr. Coffey. Very victorious in this one. And then the matchup I had that I thought was going to be the highest scoring matchup that did come true. 148 to 132 for week number 1 is something that you like to see. My man, Big Paul, beats David Krier. There were a lot of fireworks in this one. And the most unlikely stack is the way that it happened. The Russell Wilson to Chris Carson. We'll talk about it even more. What? Are you kidding me? This guy does not ever catch touchdown passes from Russell Wilson. He catches 2 of them already. I'm just as confused as everybody else. And I knew Paul mentioned, you said this would never happen. Well, dude, I don't know. Maybe 2020 is whatever you thought the reverse. Everything else is going to happen now. So after we saw that, I always like to give my game ball to week 1. And there's a lot of options I could go with on here. The game ball, I could have gone with the rookie beating the defending champ. That was one guy that I was really, really considering. And I'm really trying not to be biased on this one, but it's very hard for me to do that because I am a believer on one side of fantasy. So it is kind of getting into me a little bit. I think another game ball I could have given to was Paul for, exploding out in week number 1. Okay, flat out. However, I think my game ball was very more obvious in this one. This guy did it without his 2 elite wide receivers. One was hurt, the other got hurt in the game and didn't do anything and still edged out victorious with running backs that you thought weren't going to produce. I got to give the game ball to week number 1 to Mr. Allen Williams. This is not because he can back up his trash talk. The lineup that he rolled out there was dinged up and it produced. The Naheem Hines cheat code of 2020, dude. This is the most obvious game ball I can give. He did it without Kenny Golladay in week number 1. Big Ben Roethlisberger, I understand it's the Giants defense, but this guy didn't look great last year. A lot went right for him, and he edged out with an injured team. Got to give the game ball to Allen Williams on this one. Shit's going to get interesting, guys. So this is a segment that is going to get people really, really, really nervous. And it might have somebody overpay if you listen to my, predictions if you want. This segment, I'm going to I can't even speak, man. I'm just so hyped, honestly, man. Caffeinated beyond belief. I got done teaching. So, yeah, I'm excited after working with kids all day. I'm very excited to talk about some football. So, sorry about that. But this is going to be guys that I'm buying into. And I know, yes, this is overreaction week, whatever the hell you want to call it. I totally get that. I'm going to list 10 things that stood out to me. There are a few under the radar things that are here, but these are things that I'm buying into. I am not going to give you the fantasy counselor or Michael Fabiano. Hey guys, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, RB1. No, I'm not gonna do those basic obvious crap. But I want to break down 10 things that stood out to me in week 1 that I think, even though it is week number 1, I think that these things are going to be quote unquote confirmed moving forward. Okay, so these are guys that I'm already buying into after 1 week, just because we need some confirmation bias off of it. Number 1, these are not in any order at all. This is just 10 things that I want to list down. ESPN just went off on my phone, so if you heard that, I do sincerely apologize, but here we go. Number 1, I am buying now into Melvin Gordon. Linsley's got a turf toe, and now I think he wants to rush and get back on the field. Philip Lindsay, I think, is realizing this. He got hurt. He knows that his time is running out to make himself the quote-unquote guy in Denver. He wants to stay in Denver. And ultimately, I think this guy's going to F up his career by doing this. And with that being said, he's going to get pissed. I feel like the Broncos won't bring him back, which to me, I think is a huge mistake. Maybe it's because they want him in a change of pace role. They might not want him as the lead guy. But whatever the case, Linsley's pride is going to take over, and it's going to ruin him. Melvin Gordon now goes back to San Diego Chargers, Melvin Gordon work usage, and that is an RB1, folks. For those of you, and look, I've owned Melvin Gordon in the past. I think, David, you asked, what do I think about Melvin Gordon? I didn't honestly know because I just felt like, fifth fifth, fourth round, I would have been thinking about it. I didn't get the chance to think about it for obvious reasons. This guy is still a good running back, guys. I don't care what you're going to say. He's a fantasy producer. With Philip Lindsay gone, he's going to get the bulk of the carries. I know he fumbled. That's the big concern. And I think you might even see just a little bit of boring-ass Royce Freeman to spell him at times. But this guy is going to get the catches. He's going to get the most valuable touches in this offense. This guy is one of the best off-tackle runners that I've seen in a while. I don't think he's, honestly, dude, he runs really, really hard. I think people were pissed because he was getting so much volume for no reason in San Diego. But when you look to more of the advanced metrics, this guy is a good running back. There is no Philip Lindsay to compete with him. Bottom line was this. He was getting the valuable touches in a split committee anyway. So I already had him as an RB2 on the lower end. Now he's an RB1. I am buying to the fact that Melvin Gordon can go back to San Diego days. Not to mention the fact that this run line is not terrible at all. I think he averaged 7 yards a carry. Loving Melvin Gordon. That is one guy that I am certainly buying into. If I don't know what Andre must be trading, because I feel like he's trading every week. That is a guy I would target, and maybe Andre wants to hear this news that he's a guy to get hyped up. So who knows? But I would definitely look into Melvin Gordon, especially long term. Philip Lindsay is just not going to be a factor if he has turf toe, bottom line. Next thing that I am buying into, and this goes with another, this is the same team, the guy I'm buying into, obviously, if you want to say biased, whatever. I know Johnny's probably listening to this, probably rolling his eyes because it's a guy that I have, but dude, can't deny what I saw. Paris Campbell. Look, when I heard reports that Paris Campbell is going to take over the slot and Phillip Rivers is his quarterback, Phillip Rivers will kind of throw it at two positions. Halfback and the slot receiver. Okay? Look, it could be overreaction with T.Y. Hilton. I don't like what I saw out of him moving out to the outside. Paris Campbell and Hilton will command a lot of targets. This guy, I'm not going to say league winner, but he is going to be a viable flex play at the moment. We'll see if those targets continue up into that wide receiver 2 range. Liked what I saw out of Paris Campbell a lot. I do think that he is the permanent slot guy to own in Indianapolis. I'm buying into everything. This was a guy I was really high on. He was my wide receiver 41 in my rankings, so I had him ranked not overly aggressive, but more aggressive to consensus just because the fit and the scheme, and he is a dynamic playmaker. He is very fast. Like what I'm seeing there, if those targets can, find his way. Number 3, another guy that I am buying into. We know who the official wide receiver number 2 for the Green Bay Packers is. Without a doubt, guys, it is Allen Lazard. I know Valdez-Scantling had a great game, but I think Valdez-Scantling is a guy who is only going to be useful when Aaron Rodgers sees an exploitable matchup. Bottom line, Valdez-Scantling is not very good over the middle of the field, running intermediate routes. He is a deep threat bomb guy, and he will only be used out there when the safety comes down to double up Devontae Adams and he has him one-on-one. If you go and watch Marquez Valdez-Scantling highlights, you are going to see screen passes and streaks. That's it. And an occasional deep post, maybe. But look, I can't buy into MVS that much. Allen Lazard had a fantastic game. He is going to be the guy that's going to be relied on when Devontae Adams can't get open over the middle due to double coverage. He's a great possession receiver. Like Paris Campbell, I do think Allen Lazard is a guy who is going to return immense value. And I am buying into Allen Lazard. I think his upside can't get to a wide receiver 2, but I do think that this guy has a sustainable floor at 8 points. Once he was anointed that wide receiver 2 role, his games weren't that bad last year. I know he probably had 1 or 2 that they didn't really just do anything. Ladies and gentlemen, buy into Allen Lazard. Next guy that I'm buying into, again, you want to call it bias. I had to trade for this guy immediately. Malcolm Brown. Wow. Okay, Cam Akers did not look very good. Everybody saw that. I think maybe it's rookie jitters. And this is what happens when you don't have preseason and you don't go through contact drills. Bottom line is this. Malcolm Brown, even in a split committee, was getting the quote-unquote goal line package and the third down role. This team runs a lot of plays, so even if he is splitting time with Akers or maybe even Henderson, there is going to be enough volume for one of these guys to produce at an RB2 level. Bottom line, I am putting my money, my chips at the table on Malcolm Brown just because I feel like this team is in a win-now situation. I think Cam Akers will still get some run. But dude, love what I saw out of Malcolm Brown. I am buying him at an RB2. I'm also baking it on this. He's been around this team forever, but that was also behind a prime, healthy Todd Gurley. I think last year, the reason why Malcolm Brown never took over Todd Gurley, McVay didn't know what to do with Todd Gurley. It was just a weird situation, and finally they said to themselves, we got to cut ties with him. We have to establish, the run with somebody else because it's just not working out with his knees. Makes sense. That's why I'm buying into Malcolm Brown. Number 5, this is the most obvious statement you're going to hear, but just in case you are unaware, the Colts backs are going to be RB2s at minimum week to week. It's going to be a lot of passing game volume for both of them. These guys, if you had Hines, if you had Taylor, congratulations. If you don't, and you're contemplating about buying, hell yeah, you should buy these guys. I would even probably, I don't want to throw out too much at them, but I would throw some offers out if they were available because these guys, now that you have the third wheel gone, which we honestly know was going to be Marlon Mack, he's out of the picture. It's going to be these two guys the whole season long, and they are going to quote unquote feast. Guys, this is Phillip Rivers, check down Charlie, if you will. Bro, Rivers going back to his time in San Diego, when two backs had always he was able to support two backs on an RB2 level. If the worst backs that he had together were RB2s for 3 weeks of the season until one of them tore their ACL. I always bring this up all the time. Brandon Oliver and Danny Woodhead together when Melvin Gordon was hurt were RB2s. It's hilarious, but dude, it's going to happen. And now you're giving them on a great offensive line. This is money in the bank. Number 6 takeaway that I'm buying into, they're going to let Russ cook. Dude, they were steamrolling Atlanta, and they still threw the ball. If you have invested in the Seahawks passing attack, congratulations. That's a quick one. Number 7 thing that I'm buying into, everybody who drafted in the second round, not named David Sutton, is going to regret, including myself, passing up on DeAndre Hopkins. I don't want to talk about this because I'm going to I'm going to regret it, bottom line. Number 8 thing that is officially confirmed is that there is going to be a split in the LA Chargers backfield, and we know that it's now going to be Josh Kelly. Bottom line, bro, Eckler, I don't know what's going to happen, and he's going to be on the next segment that I'm going to talk about, but Kelly and Eckler are going to be in a split workload, but I do feel like it's going to be a weird split because I do feel like that Eckler might get the catches, whereas Kelly still is going to get some touches and the goal line work. This is a guy that went under the radar for week number 1, but I want to throw it out there. Another guy that I am buying into is the way the Oakland Raiders are going to use Henry Ruggs. I like the usage that they use in Henry Ruggs a lot. This guy is a playmaker. I know he got hurt, but he was able to come back in. This is a guy slowly, if you're going to filter an offer, I might even do it myself. I would definitely 110% buy into Henry Ruggs. I like how they were using him all over the field, especially in the slot. And when the run game gets going, they are going to throw bombs deep over the middle because they didn't have that type of receiver. I would certainly look into Henry Ruggs. And number 10, the last one. Let me take a sip of coffee for this one. With Michael Thomas officially getting hurt, Davante Adams is going to be the wide receiver 1 by at least 50 points compared to the other wide receiver if he stays healthy. Okay, I had this guy as my wide receiver 1. I think a lot of people did because the connection with him and Aaron Rodgers. Michael Thomas is fine, but I just feel like he feasts on too much volume of plays that just go within like 10 yards. Adams is like that with Rodgers, except he has more of an expanded route tree. And yes, I'm going to say this is a better route runner than Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas might have the best hands in the league. Davante Adams, best route runner in the league, as far as I'm concerned. You can't press the guy. He is a mismatch all over the field. He lines up, not just the slot. You can do so much with Davante Adams. Bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, he is the wide receiver 1 by far this year. Vintage Harsh, I don't know how the hell he fell to you, and that was a second-round pick. Congratulations, my man. Congratulations, my man, on that pick. That should have never freaking happened, but hey. You got a steal. You got 2 steals in a row, actually. And there we have it. Those are 10 things that I'm going to buy into. Let's go further down. These are just 5 things that I'm on the fence with. This could either be good, this could either be bad. And I don't know what to think of it, bottom line. It's one sample size, so I don't have enough information. Does that make sense? Okay, so I don't want to overreact yet, but these are thoughts that are coming in my head that I think by week 2, we will then have a 2-game sample size and we'll say to ourselves, as of right now, this is the situation. Number 1, the Austin Ekeler stat line has to be the most concerning and most puzzling thing because I had him in a lot of DraftKings lineups, and to see him not get a single catch, terrible. Anthony Lynn came out and said why they didn't use him, and especially when you think about it, guys, their receiving options are not good. I know Keenan Allen is, but I don't like their receiving options at all. And now we're starting to buy into that Tyrod Taylor doesn't check down, and it was all Phillip Rivers. Bottom line is this, guys. They're going to be trailing in Kansas City. If he can't get a catch in the Kansas City Chiefs game, ouch. Because you officially now have, unless it's like legit he pulls the diva card, which he's not going to because he got paid. This guy's an RB3. That's a big if. This is why I'm not overreacting. Johnny, don't choke on a food. Don't, say fuck out of here and get pissed off and Matt's laughing in the background. Listen to what I'm saying. We know what his role was in a neutral game script, okay? So we know his floor is like, 9 to 10? If they're trailing from behind and he doesn't get any dump-offs in that game, yeah, it's time to get concerned because you now have a game script where they're neutral or up, and this is going to be the one where they're going to be trailing from behind. If he gets catches, it's fine. I just find it very, very interesting, and I know Tyrod likes to run. You're not giving your best player on offense. Yes, that's right. I called him the best player on offense. You're not giving your best player on offense a catch. And it's not like it's out of the backfield. They can line this guy up out wide because I think they're going to have to do that. That's how you take advantage. I mean, it's bad play calling. I don't care if it's Tyrod. He's going to have to use his legs to pick up first downs, which we all understand. But Austin Ekeler is a Swiss Army knife. You can use him anywhere they want. And if they're reluctant to even do that, that's bad. That is really bad. That's just my take on the whole situation. And this is not me saying, notice how I didn't mention because Josh Kelly is the back to own. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, yes, there's going to be a quote-unquote split with Justin Jackson with the quad injury. I get that. But I'm generally concerned if this guy does not get any catches in the Kansas City Chiefs game where they're going to be trailing from behind because, yikes, I was right. I was really wrong about Austin Ekeler. I'd say a lot of prayers, a lot of Hail Marys, because I don't know what the hell they're going to do. If Tyrod is just content on running and throwing bombs to Mike Williams, then you know what? I guess the only Charger you should have drafted was Mike Williams, and I don't think anybody wanted him this year. As far as Josh Kelly is concerned, he's going to have, I think, low-end RB2 value. It's just a matter if he gets the catches because he might just be too touchdown dependent. Next. This is a guy that I'm on the fence with because I had him ranked low in my rankings. It's John Brown, and I don't want to overreact because he had a good game and it was the quote-unquote Jets, but he still was able to get his 9 to 10 targets even with Stephon Diggs over there. So that's impressive if you drafted John Brown this year. Again, I've been a big Smokey Brown fan. I just didn't like that they had another diva coming into town, but as of right now, the Bills are winning. We'll see what happens. I don't know if it was matchup dependent because, again, for somebody who thinks that Josh Allen is better than Deshaun Watson, it was his first 300-yard game in his career passing the ball. So I don't know how many attempts they're going to have. But it's clear that he's clearly the number 2 option. I don't think anybody was doubting that. But interesting thought there. Another guy I'm on the fence about just because the efficiency with this guy last year was ridiculous. And I know it's 1 week, but the A.J. Brown Monday night performance was not very good. I think that you're starting to see a lot of film get used on him because he did not show up for the playoffs at all. And all of his plays came off of play action slants and occasional one-on-one coverage. And in the Denver Broncos game, they really They trapped his routes. If you notice, the corners would play off of him to defend the comeback route, and the safety would bite down over the middle, or the linebacker would shade to the middle of the field. And that's why Corey Davis got 10 targets, because that other side of the field was exposed, and Tannehill hit him on a second progression. I think A.J. Brown is a freak athlete, but I don't know how they're going to adjust to this in Tennessee. Because if Derrick Henry gets going, I think then it's weird, because I feel like if Derrick Henry gets going and the run game is hard to stop, I think that bodes well for A.J. Brown. I think they both need each other to kind of coexist. Corey Davis, I think, just benefited from double teams. But hey, if A.J. Brown's going to get double teamed the whole time, Corey Davis is more than capable of handling one-on-one coverage. So that's just something that I'm on the fence with. The other thing I'm on the fence with is the Carolina Panthers wide receivers. They all got around the same amount of targets, 8 to 9, which was interesting. And we knew that this team was going to fall behind. But why I'm saying it's interesting is because McCaffrey's targets went way down week 1. The tight ends are not going to be a factor. But if you're going to tell me that these guys get around the same targets, I think that they're probably all floor wide receiver 2s, with the exception of Robbie Anderson being the boom-bust guy. This is a very hard thing to figure out, because I think Samuel is talented. DJ Moore obviously has the most talent on this team, and Robbie Anderson is the burner guy. So if Teddy is going to throw 30-plus times and there's no McCaffrey, no Ian, or whatever tight ends that they have, it's going to be interesting to see how this receiving core plays out by season's end. I think that, Moore still ran the most amount of routes. So that's promising for his outlook. Robbie Anderson had a good game, and it was a nice design play to him. So keep that in mind. And the other thing I'm on the fence about is Calvin Ridley becoming this year's Chris Godwin. I know it's 1 week and he feasted, but a healthy Calvin Ridley looks like I think he might have a floor of at least 12 points. So if you bought into him, congratulations. If you didn't, you missed the boat.
I know.
Those are some things that I'm on the fence with, because I think I even woke up sample size and disbelief out of this. So just some things to keep in mind. We got to talk our first ever Fab Budget League, $200 to spend. How are you going to spend it week 1? Saying always goes, guys. Saying always goes. Be wise on how you're going to spend that Fab. But in week 1, that's the week you want to be overly aggressive, because some teams show their real hand, and you want to be straight to the Fab budget and overly spend. I get it. That's how, a lot of guys were picked off the waiver wire in years past in week 1 and became league-winning guys. So I am not going to criticize for anybody who went overboard, especially because I did. But there are a lot of head scratchers, and I think I can explain one. The other one, wow. I mean, you got to think to yourself, what exactly did I do here? But hey, man, the saying always goes, scare money don't make no money. And I did notice that the hype guys spent a lot, and the conservative guys went very, very low. That's my take from it. Let's break it down. The first highest bid, which I honestly, if you want to comment, I would appreciate it. I don't think anybody had a bid on this guy, and if they did, it was a $0 bid by far. Quintez Cephas went for $46. There is only one explanation I have for this. There is only one explanation I can give where I am justifying this pickup. And he talked about it, and I'll break it down smaller for you guys, all right? Allen drafted Kenny Golladay. Allen spent $46 on Quintez Cephas. Allen looks at the box score, sees that Quintez Cephas got 10 targets, and thinks that this guy could probably benefit from that if Golladay is quote-unquote out of the picture, but he can't be healthy. He's treating it like a handcuff. He was overly aggressive. Does anybody here think that Quintez Cephas is going to be good? Probably not. In Allen's mind, though, he feels like that's a guy he can plug in and play because it's cuffed to Kenny Golladay. I think that's what happened. I don't have any explanation for it. Quintez Cephas, I know his 40 time was not very good. He is not a freak athlete by any means. 10 targets is 10 targets, though, and I get why you can't let that slip away. Matt Stafford in a Detroit Lions pass-happy first offense, I get it. I just don't. I'd be shocked, though, that if this guy lives up to that budget price, though. I think that's where everybody is kind of scratching their heads. But that's the only thing that where I can say what had happened to bid that amount on a guy like him. I think that's what happened. Next guy that I was shocking to also see go for a whopping amount was Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Now, if this was last year and he popped off, I would completely understand. Scantling was awful last year. I mean, again, he can run 2 routes, and that's about it. He's going to be sparingly used. He's by far, in my personal opinion, he might be at best the 3rd target behind or in front of Aaron Jones, maybe. But the way I see this target tree spanning out, Devontae Adams will get 10 plus each week. I honestly think that Allen Lazard is a lock for at lowest minimum 6 to 8. And then I think he's a situational player that comes in on certain things. Look, he went off. But then you have to ask yourself, this is how I distinguish between guys who go off. If a guy goes off on the team, I then look at it and I dissect it. I said, okay, but did anybody else also go off on this team? If the answer is yes, this means that they played a bad secondary and they were just toying with that secondary. So that's where I'm leaning with Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Does he have the speed to produce? Yes. The problem with this guy, though, is you have no idea when it's coming and when you are going to start him. He is a guy that benefits from really bad matchups. He is a deep threat guy. And I know in years past, deep threat guys were popular. I don't like, if they're one-trick ponies, I hate owning them because when they go off on your bench, it's just annoying. That's just my thought. Maybe it is a depth move because I know you lost some receivers, so I can completely understand that. But let's go down the line. Corey Davis for myself went out at $27. Again, I am a straight shooter, guys. I don't BS around like Harsh does in the chat. If I say I'm going to go after a guy, I'm going after a guy. Look, this is for the brand, for the Nicky hype brand, for the jersey himself. Look, the guy is still talented. I don't care what you say. He was playing with Marcus Mariota, who is no longer the quarterback, and it is a run-first offense, and I get that, but they threw 34 times, and the guy hit over 100 yards, which I think was maybe the 3rd or 4th time in his career. He is a talented wide receiver, guys. Let's not forget, 2 years ago, man, he had 3 really good games, and I know, okay, Nick, you're going off of 3 games, but draft capital, and I understand that was also with Marcus Mariota. Let's not forget that. This is now 2 years to study in a system under Ryan Tannehill with his quarterback. And, you know, the cliche is the Devontae Parker late breakout. This is his 4th year. He's also in a contract year. Let's not forget this, guys. He was producing with a hamstring injury at Mile High, nonetheless. I like a lot of podcasts that I listen to, and they said if you were like an alien and you watched the game and you didn't know anybody, who did you think would be the best receiver in that game? Dude, it's Corey Davis. I understand that a lot of it was intermediate routes, but Derrick Henry doesn't get going. I think there's a chance that this guy, you know, could be low-end wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2 if you need a plug-and-play guy. Derrick Henry doesn't get going in the warmer months. He waits until end of November into December. So I do think that they're going to have to rely on these secondary options because I do think even in the playoffs last year, the A.J. Brown slants were no longer guaranteed money all the time if the run game wasn't going. That's just my thought process. Number 4, OJ Howard goes for $13. This is a guy that I drafted. I wound up dropping him for Blake Jarwin. Blake Jarwin tears his ACL. I go back to the well for OJ Howard. I'm pretty sure, B Magic, if you're listening, I think you might have had a bid on OJ Howard yourself, because I know looking at the competition, I saw that you also needed a tight end. So I think that was a guy you might have also had a bid on. I still think OJ Howard is talented, and Tom Brady wants him on the field. This Buccaneers receiving core is a little dinged up at the moment. It's a flyer. I know he scored, but I do feel like my thing with Tom Brady is that he has the most say over Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians didn't like OJ Howard, but Tom Brady wants him out there. That's all that matters. He moved in the slot, and he played, I think, like 8 fewer snaps than Rob Gronkowski. I just don't think Gronk's going to work out. Greg Olsen goes for $10. I do think this is sneaky. However, I was off of this bid when I saw that Will Dissly was actually healthy. Greg Olsen is going to be a red zone target for the Russ cooking Seattle Seahawks. This could be a sneaky pickup. He's a touchdown or bust guy, but hey, I like him. This guy, I know our running backs were always, because we have 18 rounds, so there's not a lot of running backs to choose from. Myles Gaskin's usage, was very, very weird. I don't know what to think about it. Maybe he's a player's coach, or maybe Brian Flores is trying to pull the Belichick and use 4 running backs where you can't predict which guy is going to quote unquote go off. I don't know what to think of Myles Gaskin. He got all the valuable touches except the goal line work that went to Jordan Howard. Yeah, I'm going to have to say stay away. It's going to be very interesting, though, what will happen with this running back core once Tua takes over. I think that's something to look forward to. Look, was it worth a bid? Absolutely. I mean, the guy got 4 catches and led the team in, I think, carries, if I'm not mistaken. But it's weird because I feel like now I'm starting to read into these guys are trying to do what the 49ers did last year, and it's going to be a 3-headed committee because they want to mix and match the pace on how they run with the ball. Just my thoughts. Johnny jumping up out of his seat. He can't believe he got Russell Gage for $6. I think the reason why you're, shocked is I can explain it to you. I had a Russell Gage bid myself for $12. I bid on him as a backup in case I didn't get Corey Davis, bottom line. And obviously there's not enough room to fit all those players in, Johnny. So you lucked out with him because higher bids went to other guys. So if you look at Allen had his roster full of 2 guys, and then I had my roster full with Corey Davis and OJ Howard. So I feel like people were nervous because they saw Russell Gage last year and he's just a slot-only guy. But, Johnny, you are absolutely correct. If the Atlanta Falcons can't run the ball and they're going to be throwing from behind, yep. My only concern with Russell Gage is Hayden Hurst is the only guy who didn't go off in that game. Look, I don't know if Hayden Hurst is good. I don't think anybody will know that. But bottom line is this, Jay. It might be one of those games where it's Ridley and Jones get theirs every game, and it might fluctuate between Hayden Hurst and Russell Gage because they play that same area of the field. That's my philosophy on that. Definitely worth the bid because I had a bid in myself. Frank Gore for $2. I believe that was a Paul bid. Paul, I know you're trying to get insurance after Philip Lindsay's injury. Paul, I love what you're trying to do here, bro, with Frank Gore, but they now have Josh Adams and Kalen Ballage for whatever reason is back in the picture. I don't know. B Magic, I see you're on the Peyton Barber hype train. This was ridiculous. Guys, the backfield in Washington, you got to stay away from it. Peyton Barber is. Can somebody explain this to me? Is Peyton Barber poor man's Jordan Howard, or is Jordan Howard poor man's Peyton Barber? I honestly don't know at this point. Even with 1.7 yards a carry, dude, he was still a goal line back being used. Hilarious. This guy still won't go away. He is the definition of ruining every backfield. That's what he is now, man. That's what he is. So that's my thoughts on the bids. Who knows what's going to happen? And now the moment you guys have been waiting for. Let's look at this for a second because first matchup on the week is going to be titled Time for a Bounce Back because both these teams wound up losing. One team came close to, actually both teams, and it's funny, both teams last week were very close to winning, and they both came up just short. So it'll be my team taking on Patrick's team. Both are 0-1. We're going to have to see how this thing plays out. I know, Patrick, I think you got a lot of injuries on your side of the ball. So we'll have to kind of see how that determines your strategy. Lamar versus Kyler. This is now another fun quarterback matchup. Look, Lamar's going to eat. He's 30 plus every week. Kyler Murray went off week 1. I think he's going to be solid rest of the season. Am I predicting another 30 plus point game? I would love it, but I think he's always has a floor of like 20 something. So look, I love Murray, but I got to give the edge to Lamar Jackson. He's just automatic for points, and that's how you want to score. Here we go. Wide receivers: DJ Moore, Tyler Lockett, Jarvis, Henry, Ruggs. So let's talk about this matchup. Jarvis Landry is on a limited basis, and yet again, he's the only Cleveland Brown receiver producing. That's the good news. Bad news, it's on a short week. How effective is he going to be? We don't know. Matchup should be much better than Baltimore, so you like to see that. Henry Ruggs is going to be interesting because he's a guy who lines up all over the middle of the field, and I don't know if Marshawn Lattimore will be on him. But I feel like the Saints defense is probably the one unit that is going to have to work very hard, because I don't think this offense can move the ball without Michael Thomas. That's just my personal opinion, unless they're against really bad defenses. So they're going to need the defense to step up and game plan really, really big. And the fact that you haven't seen the best of Ruggs yet, this could be a guy who could sneakily go over the top. Potential. My side of the ball, DJ Moore, had a dud game. It was the first time, I think, in a while he didn't get double-digit points. There is a guy that the fantasy community and the Twitter community is hyping up. His name is Carlton Davis. A lot of people don't know about him, but his last few games, he shut down a lot of good wide receivers. This could be interesting. I don't know if he'll man up against DJ Moore, to be honest. It could be. I feel like DJ Moore is the quote-unquote alpha of this group. But hey, dude, anything is possible. But this guy is making a name for himself. Tyler Lockett, I do like a lot because I expect Stephon Gilmore to be all over DK Metcalf. This is going to be where every play is going to be broken. This to me bodes well for a Tyler Lockett performance. So I'm going to go with that. History check time. Last time a slot receiver went off against the New England Patriots, it was Doug Baldwin about 3 years ago, and he scored 3 touchdowns in that game. Not saying Lockett will do 3 touchdowns, but, New England their kryptonite is scrambling quarterbacks. And because of that being said, I'm going to give myself the edge for the wide receiver matchups. The running back matchups, I feel like the elite guys will be fine. As far as the guys underneath, they are the biggest coin flips. So for the time being, I have Malcolm Brown in. Is that going to change? I don't know. Barkley was bad against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Their run defense was really good, but he was involved in the passing game. I think Kamara is in a absolute beauty of a matchup. Say what you want about Kamara's usage. He's going to get touchdowns, guys. Okay? Oh, wait a minute. Just realized something. He might not get a touchdown because of the Latavius Murray revenge game scenario. Don't forget about that. Barkley will bounce back, I think, this week. Devin Singletary is in a split committee, but so is Malcolm Brown. But I must say, though, Singletary's matchup is a lot better than Brown's. Philly's run defense is still very stout, but I don't know how they'll do against a fast-paced Rams offense. That's going to be interesting to see. Which team do I feel like has the most potential to quote-unquote bust in the running back department? I'm going to have to say myself. I'll take the L on that one because Barkley is still not in the best matchup. It's better than Pittsburgh, but as far as, what's his name? Malcolm Brown, that's also not a good matchup. So I do feel like the floor might be safer on the other side of the ball. So I might give Patrick this one. Patrick, if you're listening, bro, I'm probably going to have to go O.J. Howard over Chris Herndon. Just want to let you know. Hayden Hurst against Dallas. We'll have to see how involved he's going to be this week. I know last week was a dud. I'm going to say a wash in the tight end department. Then we're going to go to the flexes. I know you have Cortland Sutton. My guess is he's going to start if he's healthy. Mike Evans, Noah Fant. Mike Evans, on one leg caught a touchdown. This guy is an absolute monster. He no longer has to go against James Bradbury on Carolina. Dante Jackson left the game. If Brady can air it out, man, wow, this is a good. Oh, and Godwin in the concussion protocol. With all that being said, man, this looks like a matchup where he can quote unquote feast. Yeah, dude. I like the Mike Evans matchup a lot. Robert Woods is supposed to quote unquote see Darius Slay. I just feel like they get Robert Woods in motion in creative ways all the time. He's just very consistent. Fant and Crowder, if you have Sutton in there, then fine. Oh yeah, I'm assuming. Oh, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to lose. But Crowder, garbage time gem. Fant is decent. Kansas City against the Chargers, decent. Oh, Buffalo against Miami is a good matchup. All right. Let's break it down. I think that Patrick's team has the most capability to quote unquote go off in this one, which makes me nervous on the one side because I do feel like the Mike Evans matchup, the Alvin Kamara matchup, and if we're even going up to the Lamar Jackson matchup, I think these guys are going to hit. Those are 3 guarantees. Me personally, I don't feel confident about one guy. I like my team a lot, but these matchups are middle of the pack. The sneakiest matchup I would think, if I'm going to, it would have to be probably Lockett, but it's New England's defense, so I really can't even say that. Bottom line, Patrick, you need Kamara, you need Lamar, and you need Mike Evans. If those guys hit, I think you're in a good spot to get your first dub. My side of the ball, I need Barkley and I need Malcolm Brown, and then everybody else has to hit their floor. That's the way I see it. Next matchup I'm going to talk about, I'm so upset because I wanted to overreact until I saw that one of the teams got hurt, and they're missing 2 of their best players. So, Johnny, I know how you have your superstition. Every time I'm off of you, you always prove me wrong and your team wins. Every time I'm on your side of the ball, you usually wind up losing. That's usually the case it goes, which is why I think you stopped listening at one point. Look, Jay, I know you wanted me to come on here and you wanted me to talk so much smack about how you lost to B Magic and hype up Allen's team because I like the hype. But unfortunately, he doesn't have a full squad, so I might not be able to do that because as of right now, he's only projected 90 points. Rodgers versus Roethlisberger. Give me Rodgers, even though Roethlisberger is nice at home. Anthony Miller, Robbie Anderson, Odell Beckham, Allen Robinson. Oh, this is interesting. Yeah, this is really interesting. Robbie Anderson, who knows what will happen with him? Could he do it again? Absolutely. Anthony Miller usage in the fourth quarter was nice. Allen Robinson is not happy. Squeaky wheel narrative, guys. I think Allen Robinson gets 16 targets this week and finds the end zone, so I'll go there. Here's where I don't like it. Odell Beckham, I think, is an absolute dud again this week, and I think he gets shipped out of Cleveland. I legit think that they don't know how to handle this situation properly. A lot of Cleveland fans think that he's not trying. He just doesn't like to be in Cleveland, guys. He just doesn't. With that being said, though, I think Allen Robinson alone is going to save Johnny in the receiver department. I think he has a monster game. I think that this is a guy you have to own in DraftKings, especially DraftKings. Excuse me. Hines, Dobbins taking on Henry and Eckler. You heard what I talked about with Austin Eckler, and I'm standing by that. Derrick Henry against Jacksonville. These are the games where he always goes off, except it's not in the wintertime. It's in the fall. Is it still summer? I have no idea. I I can't confidently say Derrick Henry has a 35-point game, but I'll give you 20 points. Austin Eckler, this is do or die time if you're an Austin Eckler owner. Look, I vouched for the guy, so I'm going to say he gets catches in this one. I do think he has a solid performance. I'm going to say 16 points out of Eckler. Nyheim Hines, cheat code galore. If he doesn't score, you're looking at 12 points. If he does score, it's 20 points. Give me 13. J.K. Dobbins, look, I don't like owning any of these Ravens guys except for Mark Andrews. Maybe Marquise Brown stepping it up. He's touchdown or bust. I'm going to say bust in this one. J.K. Dobbins gets 3 points. Johnny's probably like shitting his pants because he knows he's going to go off for 30 now. Logan Thomas versus Mark Andrews. Okay, we don't need to talk about that. DeAndre Swift and Marquez Valdez-Scantling taking on Julian Edelman and why? Oh, God. Wow, maybe my stance might change, Jay. Hold on. Edelman against Seattle. Bold prediction. I think this is a terrible matchup for him. I don't know why I'm saying that now, but I don't know if they can use Edelman as creative with Cam that they did with Brady. Edelman could get a lot of garbage time catches maybe to save him, but I feel like this is where Cam's inaccuracy shows a lot in this game. Boston Scott. I don't know why you're going back to the well on this one. I have no idea. But you might not. You might have changed my stance. DeAndre Swift drops the game-winning touchdown that cost the Lions the game. Not how you want to make an impact in the league, rookie. But the usage is there. Kerryon Johnson is going to be a healthy scratch by week number 2. Or that's this week. So week number 3 is going to be a healthy scratch. It's going to be Swift and AP. Valdez-Scantling. Look, the matchup is fine. But, dude, what is going on? Like, this has to be a fake trap. There is no way in hell DJ Chark is on the bench. You spend a 3rd-round pick on the freaking guy. Nick, shit the fuck up. I want him in the bench. All right. Let him do what he wants to do. And you have McLaurin on the bench. Dude, this got to be a trap. I don't know if I could take this matchup seriously right now. DeAndre Swift and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. If they're starting, dude, I don't even know what to say about this, Jay. Because of this, dude, I'm gonna give you the dub. I don't know what the kid's gonna do, Jay. I don't know what the kid's gonna do. But you really think you're gonna lose to a kid who's starting? And I know you talk about this all the time. Swift and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, bro, they're like coin flips. But we'll talk about the defenses. New Orleans, great D. Washington could get some sacks, but they're gonna give up a lot of points. Okay, I think that does it. I got to go with Jay. I have to go with Jay because I don't know what this kid's going to do. Let's say Chark gets into the matchup, decent matchup. McLaurin against Peterson, probably not the best matchup you want to have, but I do feel like, catching up from behind might help. Jay, I can't find the words to shit on your team for this one. And I know the reverse psychology, I'm sorry, I can't do it. So I'm taking you. Moving along. I'm going on to that next matchup. Both these teams put up decent points last week. And when I think about it, man, I honestly think there's a lot to like about one of these teams, and the other team has some sneaky potential. We're going to talk about Krier versus Alex. Josh Allen versus Deshaun Watson. Look, I got to be 110% honest with all of you right now. I think Josh Allen wins this battle in a landslide. I am a huge Deshaun Watson fan. This matchup, though, dude, David Krier, I pray to God he doesn't get hurt in this matchup, dude, because, they threw him around like a rag doll last year. I'm a big Watson fan. He's got to stay upright, man. Oh, dude, this is a tough matchup. I'm sorry, David Krier, man. It's a really, really tough matchup. I'd be very nervous if I was a Deshaun Watson owner. If you're getting points, dude, it's 4th quarter again. Josh Allen will hit 30, though, because he's going to run around, do stupid things, but then gets touchdowns. Cooper and A.J. Green. A.J. Green usage was nice. Cooper at home, I like that a lot. DK Metcalf is probably my bust of the week. I don't think he wins the battle with Stephon Gilmore. Juju at home against Denver, like it a lot. Their corners are not very good. Boye is now done. If you're asking me for an advantage, I'm going to say it's a draw because I don't like AJ Green and I don't like Metcalf, but I like both Juju and Amari. Josh Jacobs getting involved in the passing game. Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Alex, if you get desperate enough and you want to ship him my way, by all means, I'd appreciate it. But I'm a big Josh Jacobs believer. Kenyon Drake against Washington should be fine. One thing to note about Kenyon Drake, might be more of a split than anticipated with Chase Edmonds, but as of right now, he's fine. Nick Chubb against Cincinnati. If Chubb can't do it against Cincinnati, it's time to panic. Browns just suck. Dalvin Cook was a monster, and he'll be a monster again. He looked great. Even in garbage time, they were still running the ball. Wow. These are really good matchups all over the field. It's going to be a fun running back matchup. I'm going to go with David Krier. I like Dalvin Cook's matchup a lot. I like the volume at Kenyon Drake. And because Chubb's not that involved in the passing game. Zachary Ertz versus George Kittle. Kittle, we don't know is going to play. David, we talked. They should rest him. I agree with you. So I guess give me Ertz, but I don't feel great about it. McCole Hardman, Darius Slayton, breakout candidate, Darius Slayton. James White, Ronald Jones. David Krier, if you've listened to my podcast in the past, you know how much I can't stand Ronald Jones, but he will look really good for you, man. He will look really good for you, man. I am buying into him. Definitely. I see that James White is back in this. This should be a game where they're going to have to use him. I know he got dinged up a little bit last week, but he's back in there. But again, why does this guy get taken above double-digit rounds? I don't understand the hype anymore with this guy. He's a good situational player. He had one amazing year because everybody was hurt. Just my thought process. Looks like we're, as of right now, going back to the well with McCole Hardman. You got balls, kid. Chicago and Pittsburgh. Chicago should be fine with getting some sacks, some turnovers. Pittsburgh will also be good. Benches. Oh, well, I shouldn't talk about benches because I don't want to tell somebody who they have to put in. Okay. Who do I think is going to win this matchup? I think Alex's team, had a nice showing last week. But I felt like that was also because Josh Jacobs dropped a 35-point game and Allen did good. But the way I see it, though, too, if I'm looking back at it, Cooper didn't do anything. AJ Green didn't really do much. So I think it could definitely go back down. I'll say 125. David Krier's side, though, David Krier has a decent floor. There are some matchups I am a little bit concerned about. I'm not going to lie. But overall, I'm going to go with David Krier. I think that Drake and Cook will go over 20 points. That is going to be very interesting. Very interesting. Juju Smith-Schuster, because I have another great game. I think that's also in the realm of possibility. And Ronald Jones, I think,
you have
Will
Team
score.
Robust
So I'm going to go with
RB
David Krier versus Team literally zero RB. Talking about Jones taking on Coffey. So when I break it, hold on a minute. Hold on, somebody would like to say something.
Bro, you gotta freaking take care of Andre. He's freaking me out, man. You gotta fucking take care of this guy, bro.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you for coming on the show.
Bro, anytime.
So, look, we get into this matchup. Let's break it down. There's a lot I like and a lot I don't like. Dak against Atlanta, Coffey. I don't know what the over-under of touchdowns for passing, touchdowns for Dak Prescott is. If that number is 2.5, smash it. If that number is 3.5, smash it. If that number is 4.5, smash it. Dak Prescott is going to be quarterback one this week, and it's not going to be even close. I think the only other close guys that can touch him because of their legs would be Kyler Murray and Lamar. But I think Gallup has a game. Cooper has a game. CeeDee Lamb gets his first touchdown. Dude, he's going to go off. He's going to go off. Jared Goff against Philly, sneakily good matchup. I don't know who's going to be the guy to catch touchdowns from him, though. It's almost as if like this team is like their skill position players are like allergic to like touchdowns. It's weird. I don't know. Mr. Calvin Ridley, Michael Gallup, Julio Jones, T.Y. Hilton. Let's break it down. Julio will be fine. I think he'll get 200 yards but no touchdowns. T.Y. Hilton, I'm not a big T.Y. Hilton guy this year. I've expressed my frustration with him being in a new offense, having a new quarterback, and not being permanent slot anymore. I think dings his value a little bit. I think he'll have a floor. I don't know if those upside games are there anymore, but this is a matchup where you're going to want to start him. Absolutely. I think that the Vikings secondary got torched, and as far as I'm concerned, he could still go deep, but how often are they going to use him? I think that's the main question we have to start asking ourselves. Calvin Ridley and Michael Gallup. Coffey, I don't know what year you had Devontae Adams, but you had like a really good receiving combo, and I would always say, is it going to hit over? Oh, Devontae Adams and Juju that year, and I would always say on the podcast, I would say, hey, are they going to hit over 40 points? Calvin Ridley, Michael Gallup, question of the day, are they going to hit over 40 points? Both these guys will combine for 57 points. No, I'm just kidding. I know you got like a shock there. Will they go over 40? I'm going to say over 40. Let me say 46 points. I think that one of these guys will like have a good game, and the other, I think it just goes off. So I think like a 17 plus like a 30-something game, definitely in the range of outcomes. Yeah. I'm big. Dude, the matchups just dictate well for both these guys, especially the Dallas corners don't have anybody on the outside. Here's where things get ugly for one side of the ball. James Conner and Miles Sanders. I don't know what the James Conner situation is. I can't trust the guy. I'm going to say he's the dud. Miles Sanders, I think, is going to get eased back in. I think he gets like 8 points. Joe Mixon, can he bounce back against Cleveland? Oh, I hope so. Todd Gurley against Dallas. Look, Todd Gurley's too touchdown dependent for my liking. I really don't like these running back matchups, but because of volume, guaranteed volume, I'm going to take Andre. Hawkinson versus Jonnu Smith. Well, it's touchdown or bust. Who has the best chance to score? I'm going to say Hawkinson in this one. Jonnu Smith, great talent, but he's not a volume hog. Because God, the concussion protocol. Damn, that sucks, bro. Fuller and Scotty Miller, David Montgomery, and Jalen Reagor. Aside from Will Fuller, Will Fuller's not even in a good matchup. I really don't like these flexes in this matchup either. Yikes. I think that these flexes like combine for like 20 points. I'm not really big on any of these guys. Tennessee against Jacksonville. You're forgetting about Minshew, Coffey. Yeah, dude, I don't know. The Tennessee defense looked decent at times, but we'll see if Minshew's for real. Rams D. About that pressure, you feel me? I can hear him saying it right now. Los Angeles Rams D is going to be nice. They are going to get 7. No, okay, I'll calm it down a little bit. 6 sacks, which is going to bode well for the defense. And because of that, I think I'm going to go with the Rams D. I am going to go with the Rams D. Ramsey is probably going to lock on. I don't know. They might not even have him shadow anything until like the second half when they reveal the game plan and whatnot. If I'm the Rams, I'd probably... That's tough because they don't have an alpha. He might even be on Zach Ertz. I don't even know. This is going to be an ugly game. I do think that Dak, Calvin Ridley, and Michael Gallup will be the highest scoring players in this matchup. That's a given, but I don't like the potential out of like much of anything else on either side of the ball. So for that being said, as of right now, I'm going to say this is going to be my lowest scoring. I'm going to say is one of the lower scoring matchups of the week. I'm going to say Coffey 117 to Andre's 105. I like I said, I am really not big on a lot of things going on here. Week 1 is over, fellas, and one of you has to lose this game. So
1-0 versus 1-0. This is the second matchup of the week. Based on record, I don't know long term if that's gonna be the case. Light roast, David Sutton taking on B Magic. So right off the bat, there's a lot of weird situations going on here. A lot of fluky guys all after week one. And then a lot of guys that are guaranteed. So when I look at David's team, he has potential to have the RB1, the quarterback one, and the wide receiver one of the year. When I look at B Magic, okay, you also have some under the radar guys that are going to be target hogs that I'm really, really into. Oh my God. I literally looked through your team and I thought Ezekiel Elliott was on the bench. Oh my God, dude. Anyway, let's talk about it. Patty Mahomes, Drew Brees, slam dunk, Patty Mahomes. Drew Brees does not have Michael Thomas. I am not starting him. DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, the Arizona Cardinals, baby. That stack. That is a dangerous stack. It could be, at least. Kirk is just used as a situational deep threat now with Hopkins. But bottom line, Hopkins, write him down for 22, and I'll say Kirk gets 8. Other side of the ball, Adam Thielen will also be a target hog. Again, I could have had both of these guys. I passed up on both, so that's my stupidity. Thielen will be good against Indianapolis. I think he's going to soak up a lot of targets. He's the only one I think that's going to ever get double-digit targets in this offense in the passing game. Sanders' role now is going to see an uptick, and I think he might be sneaky without Michael Thomas, because Sanders has proved in Denver that he can play the slot position extremely well. And I think they might use him over the intermediate field. I know Traquan Smith was getting a lot of buzz. I've been down that road way too many times before on DraftKings. No, I am not doing the Traquan Smith thing again. And I don't even know who their other receivers are, to be honest. Those are the only 3 that I know of. So if anybody else knows them, cool. McCaffrey, David Johnson, Elliott, Aaron Jones. This is an interesting matchup. I think it's a slam dunk, and I think B Magic wins this. And it is not hate on David Johnson. I'll explain why. Zeke against Atlanta, another 25-plus point performance out of him, definitely. Aaron Jones against Detroit, guaranteed touchdown, maybe. He almost had 2 touchdowns again. This guy just loves the end zone. B Magic, if you want to move him, again, hit me up. Big Aaron Jones fan. Ask anybody in this league. Christian McCaffrey, this is not a matchup he's going to do very well in, and I don't know how they're going to use him in the passing game. This is a different offense. This is a different system. This is more of an experienced quarterback who might not look for those checkdowns. But regardless, it's Christian McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey could have a game where he gets 30 carries for 22 yards, so still find the end zone. David Johnson, okay. This is not even a bold prediction. And look, I know I want to take victory laps and whatever, and you guys want to talk, that's fine. But David Johnson is not going to do very well this week. I am not starting him. I think he's going to look atrocious on the ground because of a bad defense. And he might get some catches, though, so it might salvage your day. Jared Cook, Rob Gronkowski. Jared Cook by default. Somebody's got to throw the ball or catch it, excuse me. Djax, Watkins, Mostert, Lamb. Mostert for the time being is must-start worthy. Love it. CeeDee Lamb in a positive game. Oh, not positive game script, but good matchup. Roll the dice with him. Got no problem with that. Watkins, does he do it again? No. Deshaun Jackson, does he do it again? Dude, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know which Philly receiver is going to get shut down by Ramsey. It might not be any of them, but I feel like they have to find a game plan. So, easily I got to go with Mostert and Lamb. Very sneaky defense call. Galaxy brain over here with the Seattle D at home against Cam Newton. I don't know who put you up to that, but that might be the sneakiest start of the week. San Fran versus Jets, though, has a lot of potential to get ugly. To say the least. I know Sherman is on IR. Again, I'll say it again. I know Sherman is on IR. But fuck.
Let's talk about it. I'm going through these matchups. All right. Who do I like? The three elite studs for David, I think Mahomes, McCaffrey, and Hopkins have potential to combine for 70 points. My only concern is what happens with everybody else because the skill position players are very boom busty, and I don't think that they are in the best of matchups this week. When I look on B Magic side, I think there's a distinct quarterback disadvantage in my personal opinion. Love Thielen. Sanders has an uptick. I love the running backs. Tight end is whatever. Who cares? He could catch a 1 yard touchdown for all I care. And I think the flexes are in phenomenal matchups. With that being said, I feel like there's three players. The three highest scoring players might be from David's side of the ball, but I do feel like there's much more balance on B Magic side of the ball. And because of that, the rookie, I think, is going to go 2-0. I think that this matchup has decent potential. I'm going to say B Magic 127 to David Sutton 116. All right. I think in my history of calling these podcast matchups, the matchup of the week has never featured these two guys as the main event card, but it's hilarious because you have 50-50 split projection as of right now, and these are two guys that their philosophies opposite ends of the spectrum. Like, you talk about polar opposite teams, the way they're constructed. Wow. But I do feel like this game is going to live up to the hype because with the injury to Marlon Mack, you are now going to see the upside early with Harsh's team to see what we're going to go up against. On the flip side, Paul comes out strong. And I know, Paul, I gotta say this, man. I feel like you always win week one. And I don't know if I have a good track record, but I always feel like your team goes off week one. I could be wrong. I know maybe last year you lost. I don't remember, but I feel like for the most part, like week one is never like your kryptonite. Russell Wilson versus Minshew. They're gonna let Russ cook, so I'm with that.
Correction, Minshew 45, Russell Wilson 2.
No, but in respect to all this, I think Minshew was a good play. I think Minshew's floor, I think, is weird because he's got minimal pass attempts if they're going to run the ball. But Minshew, I think, is a lock for 16. I just think Russell Wilson's going to cook again. New addition, Tyler Boyd, traded for Malcolm Brown. Let's cue in the harsh segment from the draft.
I saw that coming.
So, yeah, I think a lot of people probably saw something along those lines coming, but Tyler Boyd gets the start. His projections went up after I got rid of him. Cooper Kupp. Tyreek Hill. Harsh, can you do me a favor? Can you at least put Devontae Adams in wide receiver 2 so I can look at the godly combo that you have? Why is Marquise Brown in there? You and Allen, I swear to God, nobody cares that you're putting your best players in flex. I don't understand why that's a thing. Tyreek Hill against the Chargers. Home road splits for Tyreek Hill. I don't know if it's still a thing. It used to be. I think that the Chiefs become less rusty, if that makes any sense. Less rusty than they were a week ago. So I think that's a definite. Marquise Hollywood Brown against the Houston Texans. If this usage goes up, man, this is a league winner. Cooper Kupp. Tyler Boyd. Look, Tyler Boyd is in a decent matchup. Reason why I got rid of him, Paul, I don't know if they're going to be as pass happy with spreading the ball around as I thought. I mean, AJ Green, but again, it was against Chris Harris last week, so his uptick in targets could go up again. I wouldn't doubt it one bit. Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp against Philly should be fine. Again, I think this is a game where they're going to have to throw the ball, so I'm fine with that.
Edwards-Helaire and Carson should be in great games. Jonathan Taylor is going to be an RB1. The minute he has a dud game, I'm coming for him. Benny Snell Jr. I think he's a decent play if Connor sits. If it's split, though, I'd look elsewhere. I think you have decent options, too. Kelsey will be fine. However, my bold prediction is that Darren Waller has a very sneaky game. If you're on prop bets, I think I don't know about touchdowns because I know he doesn't score touchdowns yet in his career, but take the over prop in yardage. Absolutely. Hammer it. He's the guy that they're not going to be able to defend. My only concern is if they don't respect the receivers and they put Lattimore on him, then you're fucked. But hey, Diggs and Deontay Johnson taking on Adams and AJ Brown popped up on the injury report. What? Oh, it's a knee. So maybe that's, Diggs, Johnson, Deontay Johnson came up with a toe injury again. Dude, what is it with your team and getting toe injuries? Regardless, I'm not confident in the matchups. I think, Paul, you'll wave the white flag. A.J. Brown and Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is just going to be on another planet this year. Oh, that Tampa D against Carolina, harsh. I like it. Baltimore D against Houston, though. I love that. I got to go Baltimore. Tampa Bay is going to be sneaky, but Baltimore is going to stack Watson a lot. And those receivers, to be honest, do not match up well. Harsh or Paul, look at the status for Marlon Humphrey. I know he left the game last week, and that's a big loss for the Baltimore D, but they should be fine against these weird receivers that the Houston Texans decided to bring out. Are we done with this? Time for me to pick a winner. Here's the way I'm going to see it. Okay. Paul, I think a lot went right for you last week to go over 140 plus. And we talked about it. The Russell Wilson to Chris Carson thing rarely ever happens. And Carson only carried the ball 6 times. So I think that Carson is now back down to like a 10 to 12 point floor game when Harsh had him. But I got to be honest with you, Paul. Aside from Russell Wilson, Cooper Kupp, actually, no. When I said aside from, I was going to name like 5 players, and that's a lot. So let me rephrase that. I'm looking at it again. Russell Wilson will do great. Cooper Kupp will do great. Clyde Edwards-Helaire will do great. Kelsey will also do great. Those are locks. The only guy that I'm confidently saying I don't like on freaking Harsh's team, to be honest, is Benny Snell in a split situation. And I guess if we're laughing about it, Minshew, this team's got loads of potential now with Jonathan Taylor. This guy hit the lottery already, man. Paul, nothing against your team because I think your team puts up very valiant points, but this team, that vintage one, he's got Zach Moss on the bench, he's got James Robinson on the bench. Like, for the amount of ridiculous receivers that he has, yikes. I think this is, again, the highest scoring game of the week. And I'm going to have to give the edge out to the vintage one. I'm going to say 145 to 132.